That was home run number 62 off the bat of Aaron Judge, making him the American League home run king. And that record-setting homer, part of a contract year that was just outstanding in so many ways, and earned Judge a 9-year, $360 million contract to re-sign with the Yankees. And it was just one of so many enormous deals we have seen this offseason. And here now to talk more about the best and the biggest money moves made by the MLB this year is New York Post sports columnist Jon Heyman. Jon, we appreciate you joining us. I want to start with Judge. We spoke just a few weeks ago about where this number would land. $360 million is what it all came down to. But there was some legitimate fear within the Yankees organization, among their fans, that he would land elsewhere. Jon, other teams made him even bigger offers.
Yes, well, the Giants set the standard at that $360 million 9 years, and that's ultimately what he got from the Yankees. And that 11th hour meeting with the Padres, it became clear they were willing to go over $400 million, probably to $414 million. He clearly was going to set the standard in this free agent market, had the incredible platform year, the greatest platform year of all time, breaking Roger Maris's American League home run record. There was no question he was going to get the most money. And, once he got that, we knew nobody was going to beat it because, frankly, I guess you could make a case for Ohtani, but arguably the best player in the game, certainly had the greatest year that I've ever personally witnessed, and got a very, very deserved $360 million.
Yeah, it was a magical season, no doubt. A lot of fans saying re-signing Judge obviously was huge, but couldn't be the only move the Yankees made this offseason. They just added an arm in Carlos Rodon, 6 years, $162 million. What do you think about that move?
Well, I mean, Aaron Judge gets an assist there because he told Hal Steinbrenner he'd like to see some improvements. And I think specifically he was talking about pitching. The rotation was already solid as is, but I think they've closed the gap with Houston. Obviously, Houston losing Verlander to the Mets. Yankees getting Rodon, who had a fantastic year, 237 strikeouts in 178 innings. Terrific talent. He's had some health issues in the past. So Yankees went long there. 6 years is a long deal for a guy with health questions, but just turned 30. So he's 4 years younger than DeGrom, 9 years younger than Verlander, and the Yankees are just hoping for more help from him. But their rotation for the playoffs looks better than anyone. Now, even Houston's for, if they do make the playoffs, and frankly, they make it almost every year. So they got to feel good about it. Cole will be 1, Rodon presumably 2, Cortez and Severino. That is an outstanding top 4.
Yeah, that Houston rotation much weaker without Verlander, who is now in Queens. The Mets opting not to re-sign DeGrom, going instead for Verlander. What do you think about that move and what his arm adds to the Mets? Obviously a lot.
Well, I mean, other people are questioning it, but let's look at it. He had a 1.75 ERA last year, easily won the American League Cy Young Award, 3-time Cy Young winner. I mean, he's almost a freak of nature, another Nolan Ryan guy who can thrive in his late 30s, and the Mets certainly hope into his 40s. So 2-year deal for him, makes sense. They gave 3 years to Scherzer, but he was a couple years younger at the time. So I think it's a logical deal. They needed to replace DeGrom. I mean, for the Mets to stay at least where they were, they needed to get a good replacement for Rodon, and this was really the only option that they had, and they got him. So I think that's a very good job by the Mets.
Yeah, so we talked about the big deals in New York. We also have Xander Bogaerts, 11 years, $280 million with the Padres. Carlos Correa, 13 years, $350 million with the Giants. So, Jon, where is all this money coming from, and when does it reach its limit? Is there a limit?
Well, I mean, there is some limit. It's a lot higher than we thought, obviously, but obviously baseball is doing very, very well. There is now a huge value on these very star players. It's not every player, obviously. We're just talking about, there was 9 or 10 guys that got that 9-figure deal, the $100 million plus deal, but the Bogaerts one, it really eye-popping. I don't think we expected $280 million for him past age 30. San Diego, I give them credit. I think MLB's a little concerned about the fact that they're spending like crazy when they are not as rich. And the revenue's not as high, but the bigger thing is that the personal wealth is nothing like Steve Cohen's.
Yeah, speaking of Steve Cohen, obviously somebody we've never had doubts about when it comes to his spending. He, in fact, just told you that keeping his promise, the cost of keeping his promise to Mets fans doesn't scare him at all. Tell us more about your conversation with him.
Yes, I had a very nice conversation with him a couple days ago. We have it in the New York Post, Sunday's paper, and he's a guy who says he's willing to spend, and obviously has shown that, and went late for Carlos Correa. And my understanding is he was willing to pay close to $300 million, at least as an initial offer. Clearly wants to fulfill his commitment to the fans, as he promised, to try to put the best team on the field. He's at least replicated the team that he had last year, 101-win team, by bringing in Verlander, by signing Senga, bringing back Nimmo, bringing back Diaz. And, at this point, he's up to around $350 million payroll, which is about a $75 million tax. And it's just interesting how he lamented that he couldn't quite get Correa, which would have brought him up to a $375 million payroll and $100 million in taxes. But as an MLB honcho said to me, even if he loses $200 million a year, he's got, if we assume that $17 billion figure is right or close, he can absorb a $200 million loss for 10 years and still only lose a little more than 10% of his net worth while he's doing well in his other business. As he told me, he's doing okay as a hedge fund manager and paying the bills. And I think you've got to give this guy credit for putting his money there and making the Mets as competitive and as good as possible.
Yeah, the Mets fans certainly excited to see this. No shortage of money pumping through Major League Baseball right now. Jon Heyman of the New York Post, MLB Insider, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate your time.
Anytime. Thank you, Steph.